So how has imagination helped me improve as a leader? And why is it in the 4 I's? Well, for me, essentially, imagination is the starting point for great leadership. And I'm not I'm not a great leader. Perhaps maybe with a lot of struggle and additional labours to come, I might eventually by some be considered to be one, but definitely not today. But imagination is the path that's going to get me there if I ever achieve it. Because imagination for me is essentially the heart of strategy, and it is the foundation sort of pillar for planning, and it essentially is the first step out from a defined purpose. Because if you can't imagine how you're going to achieve what you need to achieve to fulfill your purpose, you're really going to struggle to progress. And if you can't imagine a fabulous business that you founded and created, or you can't imagine an amazing product and a service that you're going to take out to your customers, or you can't imagine a better world created by and through your leadership, well then essentially how are you going to do anything? And I think imagination is for me really an overlooked capability for great leaders, and one which now I think to an extent is really kind of pushed aside, and we seem to talk simply about strategy, and imagination is left to the creatives. That's down the hallway in marketing, or that's something that we talk about when we're not going to ground ourselves in reality, in pragmatism, in facts and figures. Well, in actual fact, I kind of think that's the heart of it. You've got to out imagine your current state if you're going to move to something that's better. And it absolutely needs to be imagination with a basis in reality. And it needs to be imagination, sort of proven by facts and figures, at least in terms of how do we build the facts and figures enabling us to get the imagination into reality. But imagination really is the beginning. And for me, I take a lot of inspiration, from great people today, like Elon Musk, and great leaders of the past. I'm going to talk much more about that tomorrow. But I actually started off academically really as a historian and an anthropologist. So I will sort of tend to naturally favour looking at examples in the past in order to build and project and imagine what might be possible in the future. But for me, just a quick reference of one of the greatest sort of current commentators on sort of imagining sort of what is ahead of us, and that's Yuval Noah Harari. And both in terms of the very distant future, a couple of hundred years away, but also the immediate future. I think he really is one of the best writers today, helping to define what is on the journey ahead of us, and really using a lot of empirically founded imagination to take us there and show us what we can do. So I study, I immerse myself in the minds and the worlds and the words of others, but I also give myself permission to imagine, and particularly give myself the time to imagine what the contribution is that I can make, and how I as myself should be better with and for the team at 4i, and with and for the customers that we serve. So I think you've got to dream a little bit, and in dreaming, give yourself a vision of what lies ahead. So the question for you for today: what do you imagine when you think about how you can improve yourself as a leader? I'll see you.